Hey, welcome to the Aspen Live Well podcast. We're going to cover some business metrics today, and really, specifically, we're going to talk about competition. I know probably one of the most frequent questions I get is, my competitor down the street's doing this. What should I do? Or, there's a lot of competitors in the market, and how do I stand out? So that's really what we're going to talk about today. And the title of the podcast is Handling Competition: How to Win Without Fighting. And, when I was young in my career, especially as a college basketball coach, I made a really critical mistake in that I always viewed opposing coaches and teams as my enemy. Because, in college athletics, there's a winner and a loser at the end of the game. But even with that, they're really not your enemy. They're there for a purpose. They're there to make you better. And if you approach competition correctly, it will make you better. I like to start with a quote. I love quotes. I love movie quotes. I love philosophy quotes. I love quotes from books because I always think somebody else probably said it better than I can say it. So one of my favorite quotes is, if your problem has a solution, why worry, right? If your problem has a solution and you know the solution and you can activate the solution, why worry about the problem? Other side of that is, if your problem has no solution, why worry? There's nothing you can do about it. Why are you going to spend time worrying about it if it's beyond your control? And I think that's probably the second part of that quote is where we look at probably the most beneficial for handling competition, how you view competition. If there's something you can do about your competition, don't worry about it. Do it. If there's nothing you can do, don't worry about it. It's beyond your control anyway. Just do what you would normally do for your business and trust that. And I really sum that up into one of my favorite things to tell people is worry about your own walls. Worry about what happens within the walls of your business, because that is mostly under your control. Everything else, especially when you're dealing with other human beings in competition, you can't control anyway. Don't spend time worrying on it. So that's a little bit about what we're going to cover today. So as we go back to the theme of competition not being your enemy, there's really three main things that I think competition does for you, all of which are positive. Number one, they educate the marketplace. You can't educate the marketplace entirely on your own. You can't even educate the marketplace within a 5-mile radius of your business. It's impossible for you to reach every person inside a 5-mile radius of your business, as small as that is. So what competition does is they help you do that. They help expose people to your market. They help expose people to your technology, to your service, to whatever you're doing. And it gives people a reason to Google and search for things that you're already doing. They are helping. Your competition is helping you at zero cost to you educate the market in your area. That's the first thing. The second thing that competition does that benefits you is they set a benchmark. That can be a low benchmark. That can be a really high benchmark. That can be negative or positive. Either way, they're helping set a benchmark to let your potential clients measure you against the competition. Now, I really liked it when competition sets a low benchmark because it's easy to beat. It's easy to do it better than that. But I also like it when competition sets a high benchmark because that leads into the third thing that competition does for you. It makes you better, right? If the competition is doing it better than you, you are naturally going to try, out of self-preservation, you're naturally going to try to do it up to that level or surpass that level. So what has the competition just done for you? They've made you work harder. They've made you raise your own bar, which is what competition really, really does. So again, there's three things that we want to be thankful for competition, in that they educate the market for us at zero cost to us, that they set a benchmark or a standard, good or bad, but at least now there's a measuring stick, and they make you raise your standard. If you're the highest achiever in your area, and there's only low achievers near you, that's probably bad for you in the long run because you don't have to work that hard to beat them, and you want to be pushed and you want to excel. So we want somebody out there in the marketplace that may be just a little bit better than us because that's going to push us to get better. So view competition like that. They're going to make you better whether you like it or not. And if you don't adjust, then you don't deserve to be in the market. That's the cold, hard truth. Another thing to remember is that, I mentioned that I viewed coaches and other teams when I was a college coach as my enemy. Well, there's a winner and a loser there. Like, we both can't win on the same night. If I win, they lose. If they win, I lose. Business isn't like that. That's called a zero-sum game. Business is not a zero-sum game. It doesn't mean that if your competition makes $1, you lose $1. That's not business. Business is an ever-expanding pie. And I don't care what you think of capitalism, there is room in the market for everyone in the market. Not everyone, but there's room in the market for multiple people to flourish and to succeed because it's not a zero-sum game. If you're one of these people that looks at other business as, oh my gosh, they made $10, so I lose $10, then you viewed it the wrong way. You viewed it as a zero-sum game, and it's not. There's plenty of market share for Nike and Adidas and Reebok, and I don't know if Converse is still around, but Converse, and all the other shoe companies to make billions of dollars because they do. And there's plenty of money. Just because Nike sells a shoe doesn't mean Adidas loses $1. It's not that way in your business. So don't view it that way. The famous father of modern management, Peter Drucker, said that there are only two functions of business: innovation and marketing. Everything else is a cost. That first one is critically important. He further said that one of your commandments for business should be innovate or die. Change the way you do it. Change the structure, change the satisfaction level, change the approach, change the modality or the service itself, or innovate the modality or service itself. Constantly be changing it. Human beings are creatures of habit. They get bored really quickly. So doing the same thing for a client that is at the top of the world in the competition game, if you have the best product or the best service or the best business in the world in your sphere, in your competitive strata, and you do it better than anybody else, that's still not good enough because people get bored. If you're not changing and innovating every 6 months, the modality, the way you do things, the approach, if you're not innovating and changing every 6 months, those clients are probably going to drift off and you're going to lose them. You have to continue to approach it and change. Our staff used to get really frustrated with me because I would come to them and I'd say, look, we want to find a new way, a new approach to do this, and to under-promise and over-deliver, to exceed expectations of the clients, find a new way. And they would come up with a way, and it would be fantastic. And they would apply it, and it would work perfectly. And client satisfaction would go through the roof, and revenue would go up, results would go up, all these things would get better. And in about 4, 5, maybe 6, if I was patient enough, months after they did that, I'd come back and I'd say, do it again. And they'd be like, well, wait, we just changed it. We were already doing really well. We changed it, we innovated, and now it's better than ever. Change it again. Innovate or die. Go back to Peter Drucker. If you stay with it, people get bored. And then it also allows time for your competition to now surpass that mark and do it better than you. So one thing is surpass the competition and then constantly stay ahead of them. Before they have a chance to adjust to what you're doing, change it again and do it better. That's the standard. So I want to tie in all of that to really what I want to focus on. And that is what we call Maslow's hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy for business. And you're probably aware of the different levels of Maslow's hierarchy and how you serve your clients. The problem with the industry of wellness or chiropractic or cryotherapy or spa, all of that, it mainly, not only, but most of us only focus on the base level, physiological needs. The base level in Maslow's hierarchy is a physiological need. It is avoidance of pain, feelings of pleasure. That is our main focus in our wellness industry, and is your main focus. And I would guess that most of you, because I get lots of questions on this, most of you focus on that and think that that's enough to keep a client for life. I'm going to tell you it's not. You say, well, Mrs. Jones came to us and she was in a excruciating pain and we got her out of pain and she never wants to go back to that. So we've got her for life. She's never going to go anywhere else. Not true. You've only satisfied the base level of Maslow's hierarchy. And what's really important to create what we would call raving fans or clients for life or ongoing wellness, whatever industry you're in, that term would apply. But we really need to tie in to at least 3 of the levels of Maslow's hierarchy to create a client for life. And we're going to talk about each of those levels and how to do that. So I'm going to throw up on the screen, if you remember, I don't know if you had it in junior high or high school or at graduate level, somewhere along the way, you've probably bumped up against Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we see from this that you've got 5 basic needs. Your physiological need was that need we talked about, avoidance of pain, feeling of pleasure. You need shelter, clothing, and food, and at least one significant relationship. Those are base physiological needs, but they're only basic needs. The next level is safety. Next level is love and belonging. Next level is esteem. And the level after that at the top is self-actualization. So let's kind of talk about each one of those and how we supply those. Again, right now, you are doing pretty well at physiological needs, right? The base need of avoidance of pain, feeling of pleasure. That is what you do in wellness. That is the goal. But the next need up is what we would call safety needs. So what is that? Safety needs are predictability, security, a conducive environment. Some of you have ever walked into a business or a restaurant and the minute you walked in the door, the environment was not good. It either didn't smell right, didn't sound right, was chaos, was dirty. And if you're smart, you turn around and walk out, right? But we've all done that. That is not a safe, predictable, secure environment. And we tend to shy away from those. We should. A couple other things. Never have the news on television. Ever. The news doesn't make you feel good when you watch it. Even if it's in the background, it's bad news. That's why it's the news, and that's why people watch it, for train wrecks. They don't watch it for good, happy, content feelings. It does not promote safety. I would go further than that. I would say don't have on ESPN anymore. At least the daily talk shows on ESPN, because they are just ranting and arguing with each other. We used to have ESPN all the time until all these talk shows in the morning and mid-afternoon started coming up on ESPN. Now I didn't have ESPN on even because it was just guys yelling at each other about something as stupid as sports. So don't have the news on. Be careful with the sights, the sounds, the smells, right, in that environment. They have to promote safety. One of the examples I love is music. We went through, when we had our recovery center in Dallas, it was called Phoenix Regen, and our motto was Rise Stronger. So what we did is we went through all the songs that we could find that had the theme of rising up from the ashes, getting stronger, coming back from adversity, getting better. And we created a playlist of about 55 to 60 songs that all had that as their theme. And I gave it to the girls and I put these only on the playlist. I said, now, here's the rules. You can continue to add songs to this playlist, but they better have the theme Rise Stronger, right? They've got to have some way. They can't be about breaking up with your boyfriend. They can't be about stress. They can't be about protest or war or anything that is tense, right? It's got to be relaxing and about rising up. And about 2 months after we did this, it was going really well. Probably didn't even take 2 months. But I walked in the office one day and I hear a Taylor Swift song on. And I sit there a minute and I listen to the lyrics. And sure enough, it was about breaking up with a boy. So I just walked up to the front desk and I said to the young lady that was there, I said, hey, Abby, who put this song on the playlist? And she said, oh, I did. I said, okay, why'd you pick that one? She says, oh, it's just really upbeat and, it fits with the music. And I really like it. I said, let's listen to the lyrics for a minute. And we stood there for about 45 seconds. And I said, does that have anything to do with rising stronger? She goes, I'll change it. I said, great, right? So we were very cognizant of sounds in our environment, smells in our environment, the level of tension or chaos, what was on the TV, and even the music that people are not listening to. It's coming in subconsciously, the lyrics, but even the subconscious lyrics, we wanted to purvey a certain image, and that's what we chose. So you need to do the same thing with your safety needs. Your safety needs have to send a message. I don't care if it's as minute as the texture on the door handle or trash in the parking lot. You can say that there's trash in the parking lot, but it's a public lot and it's not your job to pick it up. But if I pull up as a potential client and I see trash, that reflects on you, and I'm going to take that into me when I walk in the door. So we would pick up trash in the parking lot. It wasn't our job, but it impacted us. So I think that every detail that you can control, you should control. The next needs that we want to talk about are love and belonging. And these are really what we call friendship, intimacy, connection with other human beings. Now, You need at least one of those relationships to fit under physiological needs. That's a base human need. Everybody needs at least one personal relationship. But when we go expand beyond that, we're talking about the love and the belonging needs. And that's what we want to focus on. Some ways we did that. We made sure that we listened when people were in our center. Things they said to us, things they said in conversation with other clients. We made notes on those things, not in a creepy way, but in a let's understand who they are as a person. We made notes on if they always came in running gear, shorts, tank top, running shoes, right? We made notes if they always came from work, right? If they came in on their lunch hour. So we made all these notes, and we would begin to build client profiles on what motivated and drove that client and what they were about. So one of the things we did is we always gave Christmas gifts to our top 20% of clients at the end of every year. Now, 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. So it's not like you're choosing favorites. You're choosing the people that frequent your business the most and spend the most money there. But at the first couple of years, we just gave everybody a Starbucks gift card for $20. We never thought that some of them may not like coffee. We never thought that some of them may like coffee, but they hate Starbucks. We didn't really think about it. So as we got more granular, our staff came up with some really unique solutions. What we would do in December of every year is we would look at their client notes over the past year, and we would develop a Christmas gift for that person that still was about $20, $25. Nobody got more value, but it would be specific to them. So our person that always came in running gear, we'd get them a $25 gift card or $20 gift card or whatever the amount was, I can't even remember, to a running store or for Nike running shoes. The person that came in with coffee in their hand every day, we gave them a Starbucks card, right? The person that came in and they were always stressed and always hurried, maybe we give them a $20 credit for a massage. Like, we made it very unique to their lifestyle. We also started doing handwritten notes. And I know in the age of technology and AI, this sounds archaic, but think about what we did and how little time it took us. If we if one of our staff overheard that somebody was having an anniversary with their husband and they were going out next week to celebrate their anniversary, we didn't say anything often to them in the center, but we would make a note, and then our staff would write a handwritten note on a postcard that said, hey, congratulations on your 30th anniversary. Hope you have a great week. And we would actually put that in a stamp on it and drop it in the mail, a handwritten note. Now, when that person got it, it spoke volumes to our connection with them and going well beyond just a business relationship. I said, wait a minute. Number one, I never really told them that I had an anniversary. That's amazing they knew that. And then this note, they'd look at the postcard and be like, this isn't printed. This is handwritten. Somebody actually took the time to write me a handwritten note and put a stamp on it and send it in the mail. That's a major connection point. And we did things like that constantly. And you can be creative in how you want to connect, but you need to connect in that love and belonging need. So that's the next level. So far, that's 3 of the 5 levels of Maslow's. The next need are esteem needs. We're going to put that up so you can kind of see what the tenets of esteem needs are. Those are things like recognition, appreciation. We always plugged people back in. People want to serve, and especially in wellness, when people have come to you with a problem and you've helped mitigate that problem or actually fix that problem and get them resolution, they're excited to tell people about it, and they're probably the most excited to tell other people who are about to go through what they went through, other people who have the condition that they started with or the problem that they had. To be able to tell people that, you can record a testimonial if they want to be, not one-on-one. You can connect them with 3 or 4 people that have the same condition that are behind them in the process that they just went through, and let them share through a text, an email, a phone conversation, their story about how they got from where that person is to where they are now and how they can follow that same path. People love to plug back in, and it gives them a feeling of connection and service and makes them feel respected and valued, but also lets them contribute to somebody else's journey. And that's really what the esteem need is about. The last level is self-actualization. And if you look at self-actualization, what we're talking about there are the ability for someone to reach the potential that either they see for themselves, or maybe even more importantly, potential that they have inside of them that they don't even see for themselves, that maybe others see, but can help unlock that and reach their potential. So a lot of times when people come in, Make sure that you do we often don't do this, but I want you to make sure that you do a good job of asking and finding out what their goals are, right? What are their goals beyond avoidance of pain and feeling of pleasure? What is their specific goal? Why are they coming to you? And how are you going to help them achieve that goal? Because if you can set a goal other than, I want to feel better. I want to feel better is not a goal. You can't measure that. I think I feel better than I did 6 weeks ago, but I really don't have a measuring stick. So you want to measure it. So we want to set goals or have people set the goals for them beyond just feeling better. And then once we help them achieve those goals, we have to track those things and reflect back to them what they just accomplished and then praise them for it and recognize it. Because a lot of people, the day they walk into your center, may have a specific goal, even they may be able to articulate that, but they won't track it, right? And in 3 months, you'll say, wow, you're doing a lot better than the day you walked in. And they go, well, yeah, I think I am, or I probably am, but they've forgotten how far they've come. They've forgotten how bad they were when they started, how much pain they were in, or how much lack of freedom they had in movement, or how it limited them. There were certain things they couldn't do. I couldn't walk my dog for 30 minutes when I walked in the door, and now I can walk my dog every day for an hour with no problem. But they forget where they were. So we want to track it, and we want to reflect it, and we want to praise them for it and give them that sense of accomplishment. So I want to put back on screen the Maslow's hierarchy, because we've gone through all 5 levels. So as you look at this now, what you see is, again, what are we meeting as a wellness center? Physiological needs. What are we meeting in chiropractic? Physiological needs. That is not enough to keep a client for life. The most expensive thing you can do is go acquire a new client. And that's what a lot of businesses are spending a lot of money on right now, is they go to the latest Google or Facebook guy or girl and say, I got to get more clients in the door. I got to have more business. I got to make more money. And you are continually on a revolving wheel of keep getting clients, them leaving, and you got to go get more. If you've been in business for 2 years, I'm going to tell you something. You have already had enough clients walk through the door. If you had kept a small percentage, 10, 15% of those, your business would be full. You would have to turn off your marketing. You would have to turn off your ads. You would not be able to take any more clients unless you expanded your current location or opened a second location. And the fact that you haven't kept the clients you've needed means you have not focused on Maslow's hierarchy. To keep the clients you need to focus on 3 out of the 5 and connect with every client on at least 3 of those 5 areas. Now, not all clients are going to be the same. Everybody's going to be physiological. And then you've got 2 other options based on your client notes, based on your conversation, based on your staff feedback, based on their articulated goals, and the personality they've shown you in their time with you, what those other 2 levels are going to be. You could say self-actualization and esteem for client A. You could say safety and esteem for client B. You could say love and belonging and self-actualization for client C. It's going to be different for every person, but what's going to be the same is you got to connect on 3. If you don't connect on 3 of the 5 ways, you're going to eventually lose the client. You won't have a client for life, and you're going to keep throwing money at the pay and pray. I'm going to pay somebody and pray that brings me enough new clients to keep my doors open or to make a profit or to continue to make a profit. If you transform your business and connect with 3 out of 5 levels of Maslow's with each and every one of your clients, you're going to keep the clients you have. You're going to have lifetime wellness clients. They're going to stay with you long term. You're going to create raving fans. That's going to generate referrals that cost you nothing. And you're going to either have to expand, open a new location, or turn off your marketing. That's how the businesses at the upper echelon do it. There's a lot of tricks of the trade. There's a lot of significant marketing activities that you can do, but to keep clients, if you do not connect with them, you will not keep them long term. That's the basics. So hope this has been beneficial for you. As always, you've got my contact information up on the last slide here. Anytime you want to reach out, you've got my cell phone, you got my email, and would love to chat with you about your business. Again, if you're a client of mine, if you're a client of Aspen, you get consulting with me for free. Pick up the phone, send me an email. Let's get a Zoom or let's get a phone call meeting, and would love to help you grow. Thanks.